Nets fans, if I was from OKC pre pre when OKC was still the Seattle Sonics,
Yeah.
I'm not supposed to be a Seattle Sonics fan. I'm not from Seattle. I'm from OKC. My team probably was the Dallas Mavericks back in those days. If OKC then gets a team and I'm from Oklahoma City and that's my community, that's my neighborhood, that's where I pay taxes, why would I ever not root for the team that has the name of the place that I was born, raised, and made my babies in?
Yep.
You know what I mean? So you can't tell me that I shouldn't be a Nets fan because I'm airing my grievances or what I don't like.
No,
I,
of course. Yeah. No,
and,
that's yes.
and 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 I will always push back. But back to what we're talking about, and more important things. Jamal Crawford. I'd like to hear your TED Talks on why
So
he's going to be good for us.
so I have to tell you, I think that's the one that I actually have the biggest issue with because unless the idea the only way you could convince me on it more so was he's someone who guys like I know Levert really looks up to him. They have like the Michigan connection. I like I think it's pretty on a I think you basically can't question the fact that like after he got signed, a ton of Nets players came out and seemed really excited about it. So I guess like I think in a lot of players' eyes, he really has like obviously not this like Kobe element, but people really, really in the league really look up to him, which I think from that perspective it can mean something. And they're going to be in close quarters. It's going to be. It seems like it could be a time where they have a lot of young guys or guys who have been some misfits. And he's obviously been in a lot of places, but also has always been well liked. And so from that perspective, I like it. From a basketball perspective, I don't really get it because they have enough guards. They definitely have enough guards who can offensively do some things and don't play defense. And Jamal Crawford's been one of the worst defensive players forever, to the point that like his defense is almost outweighed even what he brings on offense. So if he's not going to play much, but is there for like a mentorship, you can kind of convince me. Beyond that, that one I didn't get as much.
I and to be clear, I love Jay Crossover. That's one of my favorite players. I just like watching the guy play. He has so much guile. He understands physically what he wants to do with the ball, and he just can score in so many different ways. But he's 40.
Yep.
You know, I think he'll have some good games where he shows out because the way he scores doesn't depend on speed or athleticism. He's just, the craftiest guy in the court. And while a lot of people say that Kyrie has the best dribble, I think Kyrie is like a whirling dervish. Like he's spinning around like a Tasmanian devil and crossing you over and getting to the basket. But Jay Crossover, Jamal Crawford, like the way he's like Skip to my Lou.
Yep.
And I don't know, like he's like Joe Johnson and Rafer Alston at the same time.
Yeah, no, that's very well said. That is what he's.
So I'd love to see him in a Nets jersey if the rest of the team was just better put together. Like, let's say they went and got DeMarcus Cousins.
Yep.
Right, which I'll go back to after. But let's say they went and got DeMarcus Cousins. Now that's interesting to me. Okay, DeMarcus, Karras, Chris Chiozza doesn't have to. We don't have to count on him to get 20 a night. If you've got a DeMarcus kind of working his way back, and Jamal Crawford coming off the bench, that would have been interesting to me.
Yep.
But instead, we got what we got, which is what do you call this?
Yeah. Imagine
if we had Nick Claxton. I'd be excited for that because they'd have to play him. No Nick Claxton.
Yeah. I mean, look, what's weird, right, is that like I think the thing that I think me and you both like kind of like, but also find a bit a bit scary in terms of like who's running the show is like all these guys that they signed minus Donta Hall, like basically all have some type of connection to guys who are on the team. And you could say like, look, all these guys have been playing with each other for forever, so like everyone's gonna have a connection to someone. But like Beasley's known to be friends with Durant. Crawford and LeVert are close. And then Lance Thomas, who it looks like the Nets are close to signing, him and Durant have been close for a while. So there's a little bit of like, all right, like is this like I can convince myself that something's a good move for whatever reasons, but if like I don't want to be made to look like an asshole if it was really because KD and Kyrie are just running the show this whole time.
So
And I
that
think
so that
that
brings me
makes
to
it hard.
an odd KD favorite.
What'd you say?
So that brings me to an odd KD favorite, and I'm
Yep.
not sure if he's a KD favorite. I'm hoping I'm wrong, but Michael Beasley. Why did the Nets sign Michael Beasley? what?
So,
What?
so, so you know what's interesting? He out of all the guys that they signed when we were doing our homework for this pod, he was the guy that I went back and I was like, wow, like he like obviously, I mean, did nothing with the Lakers last year and was bad. But the year before, he was actually like really good with the Knicks, like weirdly like good. Like did this guy like this was like coming out of nowhere, hitting 50 home runs like Brady Anderson type stuff. Like what he was almost 40% from three. He was over 50% just general field goal percentage, like decent at the line. Like I mean, granted, it was probably all empty stats because the team, because the Knicks have obviously are a consistent train wreck. But like, I was just shocked that he even like put up decent numbers. I mean, some of the guys the Nets have signed, like I mean, like Crawford for example, has like totally fallen off. He's just not like the same guy anymore.
He's 40.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Crawford spent the last couple of years averaging like shooting like under like around 33% from three. Like he's just not the same. And like like last year under 40% from just the field generally. So like, yeah, I don't know. I mean, like the Beasley thing, I was like, whoa, like all right, like I mean, I could see what they kind of think they're getting here, and Marks also might have like, I mean, who knows what Marks' ego is like? He's probably like, look, think about how many guys I've taken from on basketball purgatory and made them into guys. So I'm sure he has that a little bit, but as you pointed out in part one of this pod, there's also been a lot of guys that he signed that he probably thought he was going to do that with. A lot of them being power forwards like. Quincy Acey and who was I just thinking, and like Travion Graham and Anthony Bennett, and none of those guys have worked out. So.
Oh, the pain, the pain, the pain, the pain. I want to bring up this next guy, and it hurts my jaw to say this. Lance Thomas is looking like he's gonna be a Brooklyn Net.
Yep.
Ugh. It hurts my esophagus to even bring these words. Lance Thomas is going to be a Brooklyn Net. And the reason why I hate it and it's so abhorrent to me is that Lance is like a devout Knick. Lance was dumped by the Knicks and then signed back again with the Knicks for a discount. Lance, I think we were giving him a tryout. Was that him?
He's been rumored to be with them for the Nets like for a while.
Wasn't he on our Summit? Like I think I put it out in my mind, but it was him that was on our Summit League team, right? Like
he's definitely had run, whether it's like summer league or been like in training camps with them. He's definitely gotten run with the Nets for sure.
Something like that, and this dude, like he like bleeds orange and blue. Now I know he's gonna come. It's his career. He's probably a professional and all that. But for the culture of my team, I don't want that guy. And it's not just because it's Lance Thomas. It's because there's other better candidates. And stuff I would have taken a risk on and bought in just because of what the reward would be. If you risk a roster spot on a team that has no shot, and let's say you bring in a Boogie Cousins, like that's a pretty good opportunity that maybe he might, be Boogie again.
Yep.
And help Karras, shake up the world. And I just feel like Sean Marks just went into a room and was like, all right, this guy's available, this shit doesn't matter. Because I think the poison that's in this team right now is this thing where they believe nothing is really happening this year. This whole season felt like one just big, just forfeit. And I've said it before, and I'll keep saying it. Losing is cancer. You have to cut it out as soon as you see it, or it becomes a part of who you are. The stink of losing doesn't wash off you easily. And these practices that the Nets have been, following scares me. And these players, it looks like he just threw darts at a dartboard and was like, okay, let's get this old Nick, and now we've got 7 former Knicks on the roster just for this year. And I'm not saying that it matters that there's 7 Knicks on our roster, but the Knicks fucking suck. We know these players are bad basically because they're fucking Knicks. And I just don't see the creativity. I don't see what happened to the 300 scouts. What happened to having more scouts and the best people and the best and the greatest analytics team? This is Malik Beasley. I mean, I wish it was Malik Beasley.
Yeah, I was about to say. So do I.
Michael Beasley. And the funniest thing about the Michael Beasley choice is, and this is the shit that should be blowing your mind. Mike can't even play the first 5 games. He's on a drug suspension. Sean Marks brought in a player that can't even play.
Yeah.
So even if it was going to be like a thing where we would go, okay, let's just get into the playoffs at the 7th seed. Let's avoid the Bucks. Let's see if we could just, throw the kitchen sink at, Toronto. If you're the general manager and you make your team do that, and you put them through, every effort to try to put something together to challenge, reaching for that challenge makes the team even better. You could get swept. But if you don't put in a gutless performance against Toronto, a team that I thought was going to be crap without Kawhi, but now they were built so shrewdly that they're second in the East. But you could get them. Their talent is not that far above the talent that we have. These are G League guys that Masai Ujiri found and threw together. They got a dude named Van Vliet. That sounds like a rich bad guy in a 1950s, Sunday cereal show. All right, let's move on to the next person. Lance Thomas. And you know what? And I got to admit, I'm not going to say Lance Thomas is a bad player. He's not a bad player.
Yeah. He's probably the guy. He's probably of the older guard of guys that they're bringing in. He's probably the guy I've been most happy about because I think I'm not convinced his NBA career is over.
Well, we're gonna find out.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about Dante Hall.
Yep.
Power forward. The film that I've watched, he looks like a 6'9" center to me.
Yep.
He's aggressive. I said he looked like Quincy Acey without the jump shot. He's